Chapter 2. Who you are. The most important thing to understand about who you are is that you are the greatest life form that exists anywhere in the universe. There is no life form, a compendium of matter held together by the power of a universal energy, above, below, in front of, or behind you. Regardless of how many other life forms there are, you are the greatest. Your personal existence is the way that you, and only you, experience a personal conscious reality. In relation to your personal existence, the universe and everything in it is all about you. Sure, there are many other life forms and many other humans, but in regards to your life, your conscious experience, none is greater or more important than you are. According to science, the Big Bang Theory is the process by which all things had their start. Its spouse is called the theory of evolution, the process by which all things exist, giving science its due respect as it searches for ultimate and definitive answers. If both theories were true, then they would verify that you are the best result that came from this marriage of creation. Try to find another life form or any other thing as important to you as you. You will not. Whatever started the process of creating you, and however that process might have proceeded, it ended up creating you. One might argue that even if you didn't exist, the universe and all other things still would. But to you, why would it matter if anything else existed? It wouldn't. If you didn't exist, you wouldn't take note of any other thing's existence, nor would you care anything about it. But you do exist. Everything else that exists is only important to your existence to the degree that it supports your existence. Your common sense should uphold and verify the clear facts stated above about you and your existence. But it also should remind you that all other human beings are just as important as you. In fact, in their experience, in their reality, they are the most important life form that the marriage of the Big Bang and evolution produced. As siblings from this marriage, in order for members of this creation family to get along with each other, each member must understand two things. 1. The importance of the individual self, and 2. The importance of how each member affects the existence of the whole family, the existence of all things. Herein is the human dilemma that we face while going through a conscious experience on this earth, in this solar system. Humanity will never survive unless the societies that sustain our existence establish law and order based on the following two important principles about human existence: who we are. First, love yourself with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. And the second is like unto it: you should love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments, all the law and order should be based. Our problems began when some people put themselves above the rest of us, or try to. They tried to convince us that they were more special and should be loved differently than the rest of us, to bring their self more value and purpose. It was advantageous for them to change the first part of these two great commandments, so that the rest of us would love them more than we do our own selves. They created a God who demanded to be worshipped, honored, and loved above anyone and all else. Then they claimed that God had chosen them as special siblings in our universal family unit, through whom God gave direction to the rest of us. This placed the control over society in their hands. The human world in this solar system is progressively getting worse. It will continue to get worse until the two commandments above, about how a human should see their self and their neighbor, are properly implemented. These commandments must be applied to the laws that govern us. We must allow the power and control through law and order to maintain a consistent harmony of one heart and one mind, where there are no poor among us. Currently, there is no moral compass that is guiding humanity in the right direction. Our problems exist because no one seems to know who we really are and why we really exist. The next chapter will deal with why we exist. This one will explain who we really are. In brief, humans are compendiums, collections of matter held together by an unseen force of energy that permeates throughout the universe. There is no space in the universe where this energy does not exist. No matter how and when this energy began to form life and all things associated with existence, the human form eventually evolved, or rather came to be what it is, the greatest compendium of matter. We can use our common sense to admit and hopefully accept that the human form is the most advanced. We see no other life form that continues to evolve to a more advanced and complex form. In this chapter, we hope to provide you with enough empirical, evidentiary information to convince you of two things. 1. You are the greatest possible life form in your own existence. 2. All other humans are the greatest possible life form in their own existence as well. Additionally, you were formed and are held together by a universal energy that cannot be created or destroyed. This energy is the soul of a human being. This energy remains constant and consistent throughout the universe. It always operates by the same processes and protocol to accomplish certain objectives. For instance, when a particular thing is created, the process by which it is created is the same throughout the universe. This is because the energy by which the process had the power to be performed is the same throughout the universe. There is a process currently on this earth that uses this universal energy to create the internet, World Wide Web, as well as the cloud by which a lot of technology operates. Information can be uploaded and downloaded to this cloud. The same energy that is used to upload information is also used to download it. For this process of distributing information to take place, the energy to do so must be present, as well as the hardware that was created to perform certain tasks. The energy that powers the internet is the same energy that powers the rest of the universe. But left alone, without any manipulation by a human being, the energy would do nothing, not able to act by itself or for itself. It would just sit there and exist. Humans invent and construct things to serve their needs. Servers are well named and identified as the hardware necessary to host software and infrastructure that allow the cloud to exist. Although the following is going to be difficult to accept, it is the real truth about who each of us is as a human being. Our physical body is the hardware, the server that uploads, downloads, and stores energy in the form of consciousness and experience. Without a physical body, our true self, the energy of our eternal soul, does nothing but sit there and exist. All it does is wait for some other thing, some other compendium of matter to act upon it. When some other thing does act upon the energy of our eternal soul, this action allows it to perform the process of giving each of us consciousness and the free will to act and be acted upon. We hope the information given in this chapter will help you understand and accept this important real truth about you. From our current experience, we know one thing for sure. Without humans creating humans, new humans would not and could not exist. By the end of this chapter, it is our hope that you will begin to realize just how important humans are in the universe. And more importantly, we hope you will understand how important you are, not only to your own experience, but also to the experience of other people. Go ahead and ask one of the search engines or artificial intelligence, AI, chatbots the question, who are humans? You'll get many different answers, some scientific and some religious, but you'll get no answers that were the same yesterday as they are today, and as they will remain in the future. Keep in mind that the only way to have a fair chance at understanding who you are, so you can better determine if you should end your existence or not, is through the real truth. Only real truth can help you. Again, the real truth is defined as things as they really are, as they really were in the past, and as they will always be in the future. Real truth never changes, ever. Over a decade ago, AI chatbots didn't exist. If you would have entered the question, what is human reality, into one of the main search engines at that time, a link to human reality, who we are and why we exist, a book that our group wrote anonymously, would have been the #1 hit out of millions. Please note that this book and all other books we have written are available to download free on the internet. We wrote this book in an effort to get people to think differently about their own reality. We did not write it with pride or superiority. Our aim was not to cause others to feel less than us. Likewise, we did not want to confuse them by contradicting their traditional religious beliefs. In this 2009 book, we presented information that we believed people could handle and maybe accept and incorporate into their lives. As human intelligence increases, humans attempt to set a moral compass for themselves based on this intelligence. Intelligence, however, is different from knowledge. Knowledge means knowing something. Intelligence is how we use the thing that we know. We wrote the Human Reality book more than a decade ago. Science and technological advancements are increasing exponentially at a rate never before experienced. It was our hope in writing this book that, by introducing the correct moral compass, humanity would better itself. Our hope was not realized. Instead, humanity has only gotten worse. Suicide appears to be the intelligence, the use of knowledge that many more people are leaning towards. We know the real truth is difficult to find and accept in a world filled with strong opinions. Each person believing that their truth is the only truth, and that everyone else's truth is a conspiracy theory or propaganda. We recognize the failure of humanity to embrace new ideas that often contradict and defeat many established truths, their truths. Therefore, in writing and publishing some of the books that we did, we focused our efforts on providing evidence of how orthodox beliefs became unquestionable, divine truths. These deceptions have been and are being used to create all kinds of moral compasses, none of which have led humanity along the correct path. It is our hope that we can establish a moral compass that can actually help humanity. Religion is responsible for the majority of intelligence, how people use the knowledge they receive from their religious beliefs to construct different moral compasses. Therefore, we wrote and published a book about the true history of religion. This book gave a lot of information, knowledge that is hard for a religious person to accept. We followed this book with a second book that proved how we attempted to use religion to create a new moral compass that we felt could help save humanity. We explained, and provided details and proof of how we created a new American scripture in the early 19th century. This was our attempt to influence the establishment and development of the newly created United States of America. When relying on internet searches and AI chatbots, one is exposed only to the information that someone else entered into a database, or in another way uploaded to the World Wide Web. Let's suppose that the internet and AI were available 500 years ago. What if the only information that was allowed to be entered or uploaded about who humans are and how they came to be came from the Judeo-Christian Islamic Old Testament? In this scenario, although there might have been, and there was, a lot of other information about who humans were and how they came to be, only the information from the Bible would have been legal and available, accessible on the World Wide Web. If this were the case, then no matter how hard you searched for understanding, you would have only acquired the knowledge that the human race started with two white people, Adam and Eve. According to the prevailing truths of that time period, there were no humans before God created man, male and female created he, them. There would have been no other option for discovering truth. Their truth would have been the only truth. During this same time period, if you searched the internet to find out whether the earth was round or flat, you would have only found whatever misinformation had been uploaded to the internet, which was controlled by law. Your options would have been greatly limited at that time. Today, your options are many. There are many different answers that you can find about who we are and how we came to be. But you must accept that the information you find came from someone who uploaded it to the internet. It is, therefore, most likely biased towards that person's truth, which makes it highly probable that it is not the real truth. A person who does not know things as they really are relies completely on their understanding of things they learn from others, who don't know things as things really are either. If this misinformation is uploaded into their brain by whatever means, it is suspect of not really being true. The modern Wikipedia website provides a good example of this. It allows information to be uploaded, edited, and changed by people. All of these people depend on their own accepted truths as the source of the information that Wikipedia presents as facts for the rest of humanity. If no one knew how things really are, then how would it be possible for anyone else to learn how things really are? What would be the source? As explained above, all available sources, if they are created by humans, are suspect of being false and misleading. If you want to know how things really are, the source that you can trust is certainly not another person. The source of understanding how things really are can only be how things really are. You must stop considering any opinion, idea, or information that does not come from your own personal experience. If you have never seen a ghost, then, until you do, ghosts do not exist. If you do not see another life form evolving into a better and stronger form of life, then evolution does not exist. You must depend on your own mind and the faculties of learning provided by your senses. Believe nothing that you hear or read, and only half of what you see. To make it simple, throw out everything that entered your mind since the time you could remember that you were thinking on your own. Trust no source of information. Begin again. Be born again with a new life and a completely different perspective about what is truth and what is not. Create your own truth. Become your own prophet. Become your own God. It doesn't matter how much learning takes place or how much knowledge humans think they possess. This knowledge is going to change one day when someone else comes up with a better idea that makes more sense and uploads it to the internet. This changing knowledge cannot be relied on in order to extract the necessary intelligence that humanity needs to establish the proper moral compass. As explained above, humanity is failing because of its inability to first create the proper moral compass and then second, unite together as one heart and one mind to follow it. A flawed compass will not and cannot guide us to the destination at which we desire to arrive. This destination is, and always will be, to experience happiness. Again, in order to understand who we are as human beings, we need only to look at who we really are. Consider a concept that the so-called wise and prudent ones are teaching. This concept is often referred to as the singularity. Many believe that the integration of and reliance on artificial intelligence will one day lead to humans and machines combining together so as to make it difficult to tell where a human starts and a machine ends. Consider AI chatbots. A human enters a question and a machine answers it. What the machine answers can become this human's reality, or rather, the only truth this person will accept. When the human repeats the answer to another human, the person receiving the information does not know its source. The receiver does not know if the answer came from the other person's, giver's own knowledge or from the machine's. In the near future, unless you are sitting right in front of a person and hear the vibrations come out of their voice box and enter your ears, you might not actually be speaking with the person. Avatars can be created to mimic anyone. With advanced technology, even if you are sitting next to a person and listening to what is coming out of their mouth, you will have no idea if their brain is being fed the information from an implant that is linked to the internet cloud. For instance, you might not know if you are being catfished when you're interested in an intimate relationship with a companion. Who are you really communicating with when you text, send an email, converse in a chat room, or even when you call someone's phone? This idea of the singularity is not too far-fetched. However, who was it that defined this term in the first place? The person who defined the term singularity as the indistinguishable attributes between humans and machines stole the term from someone else. Ironically, the first definition of the singularity is actually closer to the real truth, things as they really are, than the lie told by the impostor. Physicist Albert Einstein proposed a theory that a space-time singularity is the point where the gravitational field and density of a celestial body, a mass, becomes infinite and cannot be described on a coordinate system. In other words, the point of singularity is when things no longer change, when nothing can act upon it, and it stops acting. It's when things in the past are exactly like they are in the present, and as they always will be in the future. Sound familiar? The energy that created a black hole is considered the same energy that created all matter. Dark matter can be considered the universal womb in which all things develop into what these things become. But a black hole is also considered the place of death for all matter. The theory of a black hole proposes that energy is so strong and focused at a particular point that nothing can exist in it. The other theory that goes along with that of a black hole is the Big Bang theory, which attempts to describe how all matter was created. A theory is not things as they really are. Theories are suppositions, guesses, ideas, and opinions, all relatable knowledge that makes as much sense as the wisest human can make of it. From these theories, an eternal law of nature was conceived, the law of conservation of energy. It is within this eternal, non-changing, the same yesterday, today, and forever, information that humans can find the real truth about who they are. The law of conservation of energy states that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed from one form of energy to another. This means that a system, or rather a mass of substance, which includes the human body, always has the same amount of energy unless it's added to from the outside. A man we spoke with while writing and publishing a new Christian scripture for the American people, as mentioned above, quoted what he had learned about the existence of human beings. Although he was misquoted by other unscrupulous religious leaders who would lose value because of the real truth, what he said was profound. This man was a religious leader who knew things about science that no one else at that time knew. However, he could only teach people according to their willingness to accept what he taught. His followers were Christians who believed in the Bible stories about Christ. This man knew there was no God nor any other entity of energy outside of one's own mind. However, his followers' acceptance of the Bible's description of Jesus Christ allowed him a way, based on Christian belief, to present information that otherwise would have been rejected outright. He wrote words similar to what science now understands as the law of conservation of energy. Before science published its findings about this eternal law, this man correlated the energy that is responsible for all matter to the existence and being of God. He knew that all things, including humans, consist of the same source of energy, what science refers to as protons, neutrons, and electrons, the basic components of all matter. To his Christian audience, he wrote, "The light and the Redeemer of the world, the Spirit of real truth, who came into the world because the world was made by this Spirit of truth, and in this energy was the life of men and the light of men. The worlds were made by this energy. Men were made by this energy, and through this energy and of this energy. Ye were also in the beginning with the Father, that which is Spirit, even the Spirit of truth, the same energy of which the light of the world exists. And real truth is knowledge of things as they are, and as they were, and as they are to come. Man was also in the beginning with God. Intelligence, or the light of truth, was not created or made, neither indeed can be." This religious leader tried to help his followers understand that, like their God, Christ, they were the light of truth, and were not created or made, neither indeed can be. The exact same year that science first discovered and published the law of conservation of energy, 1842, this man produced a play in which he presented mortal people as sleeping gods. In his play, the character who played the god Michael was put to sleep. He dreamed that he was the man Adam living upon the earth in a fallen state. This play was called an endowment from on high. Its last scene demonstrated the mortal man Adam being awakened from the sleep, dream of mortal existence, and becoming again the god Michael, whom he had always been. This god Michael was not created by another god, but existed equally with all other gods from the beginning. The original ending of this play was removed by later corrupt leaders. The energy that is responsible for all things, including human beings, has always existed the same and will never change. This energy cannot be seen. It is what is found throughout the universe and known by science as dark matter. This energy can be changed into different forms of matter, but it cannot be destroyed. It is responsible for the system that makes you, you. It is responsible for the existence of the atoms of the elements that create the molecules of your body and of your brain. Upon this earth, we cannot see this energy. We cannot feel this energy. We cannot hear, taste, or touch this energy unless or until some other thing acts upon it. We see this energy in the form of light and heat, static electricity when we move across a carpeted floor or get out from underneath freshly dried sheets. Although this energy cannot be destroyed, it is responsible for the makeup of all things. All things are created from, out of it. And there is only one life form found anywhere in the universe who has the capacity and intelligence to control and use this energy to create things: human beings. If intelligence of how to use this energy comes from only from a human being acting upon it, or using it to act, then how it is used does change according to the desire and need of the human being. Therefore, the use of this energy is not eternal. The way that humans use this energy today was not the same way they used it in the past, and it will not be the same way they will use it in the future. However, regardless of how this universal energy was used in the past, is used today, and it will be used in the future, the energy itself never changes. It is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Worlds without end. Regardless of how humans use this energy, not even they can create it or destroy it. However, if they use this energy to create something, then it follows that they can also destroy what they created. Well was it said by an unknowing parent, "I brought you into this world, and I can take you out." This is things as they really are. But what about your soul? If your mortal parents didn't create your soul, then it follows that they cannot destroy it. But whoever did create your soul, if someone did, that creator can also destroy it. The real truth is, your soul was not created, and neither can it be destroyed. Your soul was not created from the energy that has always existed in this world and in this universe, because it is this energy. No matter what your parents or creators do to the body that they each created, they cannot destroy your eternal soul. However, your soul cannot act upon the energy of the universe without a body of mass that allows it to. The aforementioned religious leader told his followers, "For man is spirit, this energy. The elements that come from this energy are eternal, and spirit and element, inseparably connected, receive a fullness of joy. And when separated, man cannot receive a fullness of joy." Above we wrote, humanity is failing because of its inability to first create the proper moral compass, and then second, unite together as one heart and one mind to follow it. A flawed compass will not and cannot guide us to the destination at which we desire to arrive. This destination is and always will be to experience happiness. The next chapter will explain why we exist. This explanation must be based on experiencing happiness, because there's no other reason why we exist as humans. You're considering suicide because you have not found happiness. You have given up hope that finding happiness is possible. But who is really to blame for your inability to find happiness? If you have been provided with a flawed compass that will not guide you to the destination at which you desire to arrive, i.e., happiness, did you create the body that you possess on this earth? Did you give your parent permission to build a body for you? Would you have given your parent permission to make a flawed body for you, one that was not beautiful, not strong, or not mentally capable of meeting the world's standards of value and success? As we previously explained, your parent follows a flawed moral compass because they don't have access to a proper compass either, nor to the information necessary to build the proper compass. Your parents only had the limited information available to them at the time they created your body. The question remains, however, could your earthly parents force the energy of your eternal soul to connect with the body that they created? When you understand the real truth about who you are, There is no way that you will be able to blame your parents for forcing you to accept the body that they created in their ignorance. It's easy to blame others for your inability to find happiness in this world, and many times the blame is justified. Ignorant parents who do not have the proper intelligence can't do much to provide you with the appropriate compass, one that will lead you and guide you to happiness throughout your mortal existence. When you die, you will continue to be conscious as a thinking, feeling compendium of matter in a body. Your eternal soul requires a body in order for you to continue to think and exist as a conscious human being. If this is true, and it is, then who created this body? Could it be that the creator of your pre-mortal and post-mortal body had the intelligence necessary to create a body that would allow you to always experience happiness? The only way that another person could do this is if this other person is much more advanced and much more intelligent than your parents on earth are. Your mortal parent has no idea about the energy of the universe from which they were created. No matter how sincere their search for an understanding of how things really are, they have only had other earth people from whom to get their answers. It doesn't matter how sophisticated and advanced their search engines and AI chatbots were. If no one was uploading the real truth, it would have been impossible for them to find it. Without this information, how could they ever be expected to create a correct body for you? One that would allow you to experience happiness? Your mortal parents have an excuse for not helping you find happiness. Their excuse is that they don't know the real truth about human existence. But they are justified because they did not force you to connect to the body that they created upon earth, no matter how flawed the body was. Your soul is made of the same material, energy, as the rest of the universe. Therefore, whatever happens to this energy, to you, affects all bodies of mass that are connected to this energy, in the same manner that it affects you. If a piece of matter existing in one part of the universe is affected by something, everything else in the universe is affected at the same time and in the same way. It is important to keep in mind that there is no existence of anything unless something else causes its existence. There is no space or time associated with the energy that exists in the universe and connects and affects all matter. Let's suppose you live in a galaxy that is trillions of light years away from the Milky Way galaxy. When you sneeze, anyone living anywhere else in the universe could, if they chose to, see, hear, taste, smell, and touch your personal sneeze in real time. There is no matter of any kind that is not connected to the human experience. Every light that you see at night has something to do with humans. Every sun that exists was created by humans who had the intelligence to create a new sun. This is why the universe appears to be expanding. Around each sun, advanced humans can create whatever planet, mass of matter they desire for their happiness, if they know how to. The law of conservation states that a system always has the same amount of energy, unless it's added to from the outside. A sun and its planets constitute a solar system. There was once just potential energy in that part of the universe. When that system had energy added to it, it changed the system. The creation of a sun does not destroy energy. It creates new energy from dark matter, the energy from which it was created. In the introduction of this book, we explain the real truth about gravity and magnetism, things as they really are, what science has yet to call a law instead of just a theory. The energy of the universe was not created and cannot be destroyed. Your soul, the energy that allows you to think and be conscious, is, was, and will always be part of the universe. However, in order to be you, a body of element mass had to be created by some other body that had the intelligence to do so. This leads to the question about who or what created the first creator. If nothing can exist without some other thing creating it, then what created the thing that did the creating? It is this question that plagues the minds of humans who do not know the real truth about their own existence. If God created men, then who created God? The answer to this question is so simple and so easy that it is often discounted because of its simplicity. The real truth is this: there has never been a time or a space where human beings have not existed, in one form or another. The elements are eternal and exist throughout the universe in various forms and compendiums that create all the different things that exist. Everything has always existed in some part of the universe. Consider the chicken and the egg. Which came first? The answer is simple: neither. They both have always existed somewhere in the universe. Your flawed, or better, imperfect mortal brain does not have the capability to fully comprehend that all things have always existed. And it's not your fault that you have this flawed brain. It's not your fault because, in your search for happiness, your choices of physical bodies were limited to the number of these bodies that other flawed humans had created. If you decide to go through with your suicide and end the consciousness of your flawed brain in your flawed body, you will immediately realize that you actually do exist in a perfect body made by other humans who had the proper intelligence to create this perfect body. The religious leader mentioned above told his followers, "The glory of God is intelligence," or, in other words, light and truth. He taught them that they were gods, equal to the most intelligent humans that could possibly exist. He taught them that, as God is, man once was, and as God is, man will return to be. Unfortunately, his followers didn't understand him. Later, corrupt religious leaders hijacked his teachings and altered what he said. Today, these deceptive leaders teach their followers that, as man now is, God once was. As God now is, man may become. These unscrupulous leaders, a few sincere, need an invented God to take precedence over individuals, to be superior to them, so that they, the leaders, can control society. They define who and what God is. Their definitions always include ideas that support their existence as leaders. They always benefit from their invented priesthood authority. Consider if it were accepted that all people are actually gods themselves, who will return to be a god when their mortal experience has ended, i.e., as God is, man once was, and will return to be. Then it follows appropriately that all people are their own prophet, seer, and revelator of their personal God's will. This is the real truth about who you are and why you exist. And so, why should we put our faith in any man whose breath is in his nostrils? Why not have faith in ourselves? A man who cherishes his power and authority over others, as well as the value and worth associated with his calling as a prophet, seer, and revelator, wants his followers to ignore him as a man, focusing on the belief that one day he will be a god. However, when this man dies and returns to be the God who he has always been, whatever this man has done while on the earth ends and becomes of no worth when he dies. This real truth affects a religious leader's ability to maintain their power and control over others, and the value of their position in doing so. Once this person dies, they will return to be the same human they were before they connected to an imperfect mortal body. At that time, they will lose all the value and worth they accumulated while experiencing life upon earth, while teaching people the falsehoods that gave them their own personal worth. As our good book said, It would be better for them if they had not been born. Maybe it isn't you who should be considering suicide. Perhaps it should be those who have wielded power and authority over you. But that is up to them. Hopefully, in understanding why you exist, the pieces of the puzzle will begin to fall into place and prove to you just how incredibly important you are to the entire universe. End of chapter 2.